so great to be here. I want to thank cancer fighters and their incredible team, especially Addie, Abby, and Leslie, for all the time and effort that you ladies took to set this up. Addie, you are such a ray of sunshine. It has been a pleasure working together. And I especially want to thank all of you for being here tonight to listen. For being honest, it's a group that perhaps we never wanted to be a part of, but a group with which I am so proud to associate. Might cry a little bit. Your strength, honesty, love, and determination is boundless. You all shine so very bright. Even when you don't feel well, your light radiates through. Never forget that. Please feel free to ask questions either at the end of this session or as we go along. Please feel free to type your questions into the chat session or section at the bottom of your Zoom screen. I'm happy to take questions about the book, about my cancer, or about veterinary medicine or any medical questions. So just to bring everyone up to speed, I am a veterinary oncologist, so a veterinarian whose sole practice is devoted to cancer care for animals. I've treated dogs, cats, birds, ferrets, and bunny rabbits with chemotherapy and radiation therapy. Let me tell you, they take it much better than we do. Of course, the irony is, or what felt more like a sucker punch to my gut, is that I developed the C word in 2018. I know, the C word. That is me being completely dysfunctional. Here, I've treated cancer every day for, golly, 30 years for my patients and their families, but I can't say that darn word for myself. I can only call it the C word. My veterinary nurses would say, Dr. A, that's not what the C word means. But for me, it did. And I certainly don't want to own that word. After having no clinical signs, not even losing a single pound, which I would have probably welcomed, during my routine or yearly gynecologic exam, I was ultimately diagnosed with metastatic endometrial C word, so cancer of the uterus. I underwent a radical hysterectomy, and because it had spread, 25 fractions or treatments of radiation therapy and many months of chemotherapy, receiving 3 drugs in total. A silver lining, though, that stemmed from my treatment is the lessons that I learned from our four-legged friends. Having had a front row seat to the enormous power that the human-animal bond plays in our lives, I knew that dogs were incredible companions, but I had no idea how much they can teach us. It took the C word for me to realize that. I do believe that dogs are not just fantastic support, but I am convinced that they are incredible guides for when we struggle. And we all struggle at times. So it's life lessons from dogs. Some lessons are quite profound. Others are small compared to some of the things we have all gone through. But if we look to our furry friends, we can learn a lot. They can show us how to make our lives better. In fact, recently, someone who read my book, she has a healthy 5-year-old West Highland White Terrier named Oscar. She said that after she read the book, she felt that she was a better dog parent, a better person, and she felt happier. I hope that listening tonight, or perhaps after reading the book, you will feel the same way. Okay, so let's delve into treating ourselves through a dog's eyes. This will include how our furry friends see us, with a few lessons based on how they treat themselves. We talk about them as sort of insights. So the first insight is with dogs, there is no judgment. Plain and simple, dogs meet us wherever we're at. We all have periods in our lives where it's hard to face another person, where we might be embarrassed by a misstep or by something foolish that we've said, or we hide in our homes, pulling the shades low, not wanting to face the world. But our four-legged friends never judge us. Sure, dogs experience a wide array of feelings: happiness, sadness, excitement, even fear. But their stares are never morally judgmental. They do not care about our work history, our performance on the golf range, nor do they care if we've put our proverbial foot in our mouth. Our canine friends accept us, never jumping to conclusions that aren't true. They don't project to know what we're going to say or how we might act, and they never would put us down. I'm not sure we can all say that about ourselves. I know my dog, Newton, looked at me adoringly, despite my straggly chemo hair, which was plastered to my head, while still wearing the same pajamas that I had been in for 4 straight days. And if I'm being really honest, those PJs might even had a chicken soup stain on the front. But I was whole, a whole person in my dog's eyes. And that felt so incredibly good to be seen for me. No pity. No, you could be doing this thing called life better. In fact, his loving stares gave me courage and strength to battle on strong. He saw me for me, and he let me know that I was still there beneath the outward signs of chemo. Newton set the bar higher for me, and I am eternally grateful for his help. Bentley is a beagle featured in the book who we'll talk about more shortly, but he was a patient of mine who had prostate cancer. Bentley trotted in every 3 weeks for his chemotherapy with a very gruff, very impatient dad. The gentleman's demeanor put me off, actually put off the entire oncology service. But his dog saw past his pet parent's crabbiness. He understood where his dad was at, and the beagle was his loving companion just the same. I wished I had seen past Bentley's dad's crabbiness earlier than I did. I made initial assumptions which were untrue, and I missed the opportunity to have had more time to chat with him, to emotionally connect. I believe that dogs possess this magical ability to see us for who we are more than any one person can see us. Sometimes I think they know us better than we even know ourselves. On occasion, I glance down at my dog looking up at me, and I actually chuckle just a bit. He loves me unconditionally. I do think that it is human nature for people to judge, and we're all a bit judgy at times, but we're all a bit better off if we don't. Instead of knocking us down, dogs make us feel seen, make us feel loved. To be loved unconditionally without judgment is the best feeling around. And really, being judgy only serves to perpetuate negative energy, which hurts not just the person you judge, but it also ultimately hurts the judger. And I do know that if we could impart more of this advice to ourselves, we'd all be a bit better off. Okay, full disclosure, I shouldn't be smiling. I have this little voice inside my head, and sometimes, actually most of the time, she can be pretty nasty to me. It makes no sense. It does no good. I am only pushing myself down. Yet to what end or what purpose? Dogs don't have that. There is no distorted, harsh critic inside them. Let's have dogs remind us to quiet that voice within us. My dog sees me for me, meeting me where I need to be met. It's the most unconditional of love. It really is. It is just wonderful. And I think if we can impart a little more of that to ourselves, we'd all be better off. Insight number 2, the benefit of being a pack animal. Dogs are pack animals. In the wild, dogs survive because they exist in a pack. Each has a role within that group, but they function better because they are together. They help each other obtain food. They rely on each other for safety. They lay on each other for warmth and security. It's as if dogs are their own weighted blanket. Do you remember that craze at Christmas? The latest thing was to buy a weighted blanket, or at least up here in the Northeast where it gets awfully cold. Weighted blankets are supposed to help with improved sleep, more restful sleep, reduced anxiety, and at times there have been claims that they help autistic children. But dogs have cornered the market on weighted blankets. Have you ever had a bad day and then your dog tucks in alongside you or on you? Best feeling ever. Try it. It will feed your soul, truly. And you don't have to go to the mall to get it. You see, dogs have genetically evolved to be a part of our pack. Thousands of years ago, they lived in the periphery of our existence, picking meat off of bones that we discarded. But with time, they evolved to work and live alongside us, helping us to hunt, helping to keep our livestock and us safe. And now, canines are emotionally, fully integrated into our daily lives. Having a dog in our pack helps both the dog and us. Granted, in general, dogs need us to survive, or at least to survive well. But their mere presence helps us too. Research has shown that people with dogs are more likely to live longer than those that do not live with a canine friend. It is the same for people being there for each other. As I explained before, I am better off for having a dog in my life. Newton, my boxer, provided unbridled love when the world seemed too harsh, and I was struggling with the effects of chemotherapy and radiation therapy. He was my diligent nursemaid who never left my side. It was his unyielding companionship that gave me strength. He gave me love. Dogs also give independence as well as confidence to people with special needs. They help open up their world. In chapter 7 of the book, you'll meet Franny, a bloodhound, who aids police in search and rescue. The sum of Franny and her partner's work far exceeds what the two individuals can accomplish alone. Neither the officer nor Franny could find the amount of people that they do by themselves. They are better together. They are better in their pack. And the bloodhound did this, no lie, while undergoing chemotherapy herself, setting records for all of the individuals that she tracked and found. So I'd like to suggest that we take this concept out a little further, that we as people are better off as a pack, together, rather than as individuals acting alone. We as people are actually designed to be connected, which promotes joy, love, and feelings of being securely attached to each other. Please know that it doesn't even have to be with the intent of service. We know that mere social isolation significantly increases a person's risk of premature death and is associated with approximately a 50% increased risk of dementia. Sadly, we saw this at the height of the COVID pandemic. Being away from our pack is not good for us mentally or physically. In a pack, we do better by supporting each other, lifting one another up. Dogs show us that working and living together improves all of our lives. Our main pack can be small, perhaps your family or just a few close friends. My hope is that we all have this and that these relationships are a loving give and take. But think about the bigger picture, a bigger pack. People are more alike than different. We really are. If we stop to take a breath and just look, we will realize this. Can you imagine if we all had each other's backs? We're here to lend a helping hand. Heck, even just a friendly smile to a stranger can sometimes do more good than you'll ever know. I guess if people acted more like golden retrievers, the world would be a happier place. Insight number 3, dogs practice mindfulness. Sometimes it is really hard to live in the moment, especially when that moment is really hard to take. But sometimes we lose sight of what living in that moment is truly about. Yet our furry friends always live in the moment. They don't fret about what might happen in the future, nor do they stew about what happened in the past. Worry wastes energy and pushes our cork down. Sadly, I can fret with the best of them, but when has that ever really helped? Can't say that's ever helped me. Using my dog patients as my guide, I realize the four-legged among us don't worry. Taking it one step further, it really means that they don't try to control the uncontrollable. Our dog friends and our cat friends face life and each obstacle head on. They don't fret before chemo. They don't get upset after chemotherapy is done. Dogs don't waste their energy on the negative, and that helps their healing process. They use their energy for good. A week before receiving chemotherapy, I would worry that the nurse might have difficulty hitting my vein. I didn't have a port. After chemotherapy was done for the day, I lamented that it took her 3 tries to put in the catheter. What will happen the next time? Dogs, they eagerly arrive, sniffing all the good smells, and I guess some of the bad smells, it's all relative, on the floor along the way to the treatment room. After chemo, they hop up looking for a treat. Their positive attitude propels them forward. Although I guess if our cancer treatment center had given us each a little piece of Godiva after chemotherapy, perhaps we have a different outlook. We know that if we do have a positive outlook, it helps to lower our levels of pain, contributes to a greater resistance to illness, benefits our cardiovascular health, and makes us more resilient. All good things. My dog patients set the bar higher for me. In the book, as I said, I took care of a very loud, overweight beagle named Bentley Bean. His human dad was an extremely gruff man, mad at the world for he too had terminal cancer. In fact, actually, nobody knows this, so you are the first, and it's a group, but the original title of this chapter 3 was A Race You Don't Want to Win. Both dog and dog parent had a limited lifespan. Bentley's dad repeatedly asked me a question that I could not answer, or at least I didn't know how to really answer. I'm going to read an excerpt from the book highlighting this. Bentley was there again, eager to accompany his owner, tail wagging, happy to enjoy the time that was ahead. Bentley lived in the moment, accepting each day for what it was. And now this man wants to do everything he can for his steadfast companion. Dr. Bean wants to be the pillar of strength for his dog that his dog had been for him. As hard as it's been for Dr. Bean to come into this veterinary hospital, being reminded of what he himself is going through, Bentley always seems happy to see us. Dr. Bean wants to give Bentley quality time for however long he can. Bentley fights his diagnosis not with stoic bravery, but by taking each moment as it comes, enjoying what is in front of him. But clearly and understandably, this is not easy for Dr. Bean. Overriding all this is Dr. Bean's desperate fear of leaving Bentley behind. And yet, the good doctor is torn over the potential of having to grieve the loss of Bentley should Bentley pass away first. So, who's going to die first, me or him? He asks me again. How can I answer this? They are in a race against time, a race that neither wants to finish. I don't know, I stammer back in a barely audible voice. Isn't that great? Years of being a veterinarian, and that's the first thing out of my mouth. Dr. Bean is still looking at me. I don't know, I repeat, perhaps a little more convincingly this time. But I do know that you are here now, and you are here to help Bentley, and Bentley is as happy as he can be. Thankfully, your dog has not experienced many side effects. Furthermore, he should continue to do well with the remainder of his treatments, and you've given him more happy days. It's so hard for all of us to be in the moment, but Bentley is doing just that. He's happy that the sun comes up each day. He's excited for each silly dog biscuit that he gets, and he loves being with you. Most importantly, you have this time together. Despite the long-term consequences, Bentley the Beagle never worried about his or his pet parents' combined mortality. Bentley took each day as it came and was happy just the same. We struggle to remain alive, yet waste our living time worried about the what ifs. By living in the moment, dogs mirror for us a healthy, take life as it comes approach. Now just take a little sip. Insight number 4, the sanctity of self-care. It is ever too easy to push ourselves, right? Work, work, work. Americans thrive on it. I know I do. We live in a society that values progress, drive, change. Rightly or wrongly, we are respected for our productivity. This is even reflected in our vacation time, which is often less than other countries. The average yearly time off in the United States is 11 days. In Europe, depending on the country, it averages between 25 and 32 days per year. We even push ourselves when we shouldn't, or at least I know I do. When I am overly tired or perhaps not feeling well, or maybe I'm downplaying or ignoring a physical sign that I'm having, what do? I tough it out. I look the other way. It'll get better, or it's not that bad, goes through my mind. But those thoughts aren't healthy. And by minimizing these warning signs, we, or I, could do further harm to myself. Here's the thing. We should not just accept, but we should value taking time for ourselves, caring for ourselves. Canines model the sanctity of self-care, and they do it openly, right in front of the entire family. They know what their body is saying, and the lesson here is that they listen. When a dog is tired, they sleep, sometimes curled up on that brand new chenille sofa, even if they know they're not supposed to be up on furniture. And people, I want you to know I'm giving my dog the side eye as I say this. But they aren't ashamed to nap. They're not being lazy. By being kind to themselves, by not pushing themselves needlessly, they are helping themselves. And once they feel better or are rested, they can then be more present. When my darling boxer is curled up, or perhaps more likely stretched out on my new sofa, I realize that she's also relishing laying on the cashmere throw blanket I have. Do I use that blanket? Heck no. Why? I'm saving it. I'm not sure for what. Maybe just to look pretty draped over the sofa, but I know it's because I don't want to waste it or wear it out. It's crazy. Dog seize the day. Happy in the moment. They enjoy their time and my coveted blanket. Part of taking care of ourselves, though, is being good to ourselves and allowing us to delight in the items around us. We all know this, right? We are only given one body. But I wasn't nearly that wise. Even though I was sick, being treated for cancer, I should say the C word, I still insisted on forging ahead and tackling my to-do list. Because for me, checking items off of my to-do list was how I got my self-worth. Dogs, they lick their own wounds. Okay, I'm not suggesting as humans we literally do that, because that's kind of gross. But why does a dog sometimes lick? It is to bring comfort to an area. Perhaps they have a joint or a few joints with arthritis, or if their muscles are sore from running around the yard like crazy pups. By licking, though, they are wise enough to tend to their needs, to comfort themselves. And we should do the same. A cup of tea, a warm bath, a fun rom-com on TV, a big fuzzy blanket, a walk in a wooded area, just even some nice hand or foot cream, ordering in some tasty food, a nap on the sofa. All of these things are small things that we can do for ourselves. For me, I'm a work in progress. I derive much more pleasure and place much more importance on helping others. But I am learning, however slowly, the sanctity of self-care. Insight number 5, dogs celebrate imperfections. People often feel whole in the presence of animals. Dogs don't care if our hair is a bit gray or if we had gained COVID weight. And as dogs age, they sometimes develop lumps, fatty lipomas, and warts. They become gray around the muzzle, maybe even dull in their eyes. Yet we love our dogs just the same, despite these changes, or sometimes love them more because of these changes. I have seen many a pet with some of these traits, and their families find these endearing. Often, we don't extend the same love to ourselves or each other. Heaven knows I'm not kind to myself when I look in the mirror. And then I'm convinced further that the chemo I received aged me in my face where everyone can see. It is my insecurity with believing I should look away a certain way that is foolish. With dogs, we can be who we really are with them. No false pretense, no insecurities. For me, losing my hair, or really not wanting to lose my hair, was a big deal. I never realized how vain I could be. But it dawned on me that it was more than just that. I was trying to control the uncontrollable. Dogs embrace imperfections, living in the moment. Me, the bigger picture should be to be happy, to see the sun come up each morning, to spend time with my teenage son so that I could live. The superficial things don't matter. It is a natural process. And let's face it, hair grows back. We have these societal norms that we strive to live up to, or if we don't, we sometimes hide. Sure, makeup, hair dye, the uncomfortable Spanx we wear that I sometimes wear helps, but those items don't fix the real issue. To know we are good just the way we are, and our families and friends love us whether or not our eyes pop with some new eyeliner or have a flat belly. But dogs don't have that. They don't approach life that way. Now, mind you, it's all good to still take care of yourself. And heaven knows I enjoy dressing up or sometimes doing my hair. But can you imagine going into a group of people and, at least for me, not sucking in my stomach or thinking I am enough? Franny, the older police bloodhound from chapter 7, loved herself, loved life, despite her numerous wrinkles, if you think of a bloodhound's face, her endless ropey drool, and gaining 50 pounds during cancer treatment. 50. Franny literally lumbers when she walks. In fact, she actually had to retire from the police force as she gained so much weight that it was too hard for her to quickly track lost people or nab people on the run through woods and marshes. It's actually been over 6 years, and she is now living a very comfortable life in the home of her previous police partner. And yet, when I was convalescing after my radiation and my chemotherapy were done, I had a pity party for myself for gaining weight. Turns out it was actually lymphedema from my treatment, which encompassed most of my body, my arms, chest, abdomen, and legs, and that caused the scale to skyrocket. But I overlooked the fact that I'm alive. In the forefront of my brain was concern and angst about developing this lymphedema. What would people think about my weight gain? The compression garments that I had to wear, that I still do wear, the physical therapy that I had to do, actually still do. When I had the C word, I battled so hard to stay alive, and yet I was wasting the present, not being happy by these so-called imperfections. And all of those people that I felt like that I felt they thought I was less than, if I took a breath, I would have realized they're not critiquing me. I am only doing that to myself. They didn't lead with their view of me based on my lymphedema. We should celebrate ourselves despite the dents we get along the way, and we should love each other for their dents as well. Have you ever watched a group of dogs in a dog park, or even two dogs meeting, each on a walk with their human? Recently, while on a stroll with my 7-year-old female boxer, Dusty, whom I adopted during COVID, we came upon another walker and his Portuguese water dog. The two dogs wagged their tail. Of course, my boxer, just like someone's Boston Terrier that I saw, could only wag her little stump of a tail, but her rear end wiggled at top speed. The dogs sniffed each other a bit, and then bam, my boxer went down on her front legs in a happy dog pose for let's play. The other dog was so excited for his new friend. Typical, right? What I didn't tell you was that the other dog was missing a leg. His right hind limb had been amputated a few months prior, for that dog had bone cancer, osteosarcoma. He didn't hide from Dusty nor hold back, and Dusty didn't care that he only had 3 legs. She saw him as a friend, completely, unconditionally whole in her eyes, and they enjoyed each other. Insight number 6, dogs model what a best friend should be. In fact, dogs are hardwired, genetically speaking, to actually be our friend. Thousands of years ago, certain wolf packs realized getting closer to humans was mutually beneficial to them. Through time and from just one single chromosome, an alteration developed in this subset of wolves. That ultimately led to what we think of as our loving dogs today. Canines are truly meant to be our friends. Steadfast, loving, loyal, protective, unbridled companions with unconditional love. Coveted qualities you hope for in a friend. All qualities that we get from a dog. Heck, I'm even good if my girlfriend exhibits just a fraction of these qualities. Can you imagine if that is how we approach life to our friends, our spouse, and our family members? Even just concentrating on some of these friendship qualities would bring added happiness and enrich the lives of those around us and ultimately to ourselves. Dogs possess all of these attributes and more. Our lives are so much better with them by our side. In fact, the word pet seems inadequate. They're special beings. We're not their owners. We're their partners in life. I actually just thought of something. Think of wedding vows, right? In sickness and in health, for richer or poorer, till death do us part. That's my dog. Thankfully, my husband isn't listening, and what we talk about here stays here. But if I'm being honest, it wasn't easy for him when I was undergoing chemotherapy. I couldn't give to him very much. I certainly wasn't able to give much to running the household. There were months when I didn't feel like me, nor did I look like me. My husband wore out. He truly is a good person, but caretaking, especially for months on end, was just not his strong suit. Dogs don't see our disabilities. They love us totally and wholly. Newton, my boxer, as I've said before, was my companion while I convalesced after my medical treatments, never letting me feel alone. It was as if he was my nursemaid, lying against the side of the sofa on which I had taken up residence. It felt so good to have him by my side, for I never felt lonely. My spouse was at work, my kid at school, my girlfriends would periodically visit. but it was my dog that went through it with me. Not once did he complain about his own issues dealing with cancer. Sadly, you heard that right. He too had the C word and was simultaneously getting chemotherapy. That wasn't emotionally easy on me. You expect your dog to be your companion on a hike or maybe sit with you and watch TV at night, but never through cancer treatment. He showed up for me and my family. Never did he miss a game of basketball with my son. He was our dear friend. The human-animal bond is a mutual relationship based on trust. Friends trust each other. Though we are responsible for them, they feel they are 100% responsible for us. Chapter 1 in the book is about Daisy, an older Cocker Spaniel who comes to her veterinary appointments sporting a blue dress as the Disney Princess Elsa from Frozen. The family daughter loved Disney princesses, actually still does, so the parents would dress up this easygoing spaniel. Their daughter, Kathy, is a special needs girl who was adopted by the family when she was only an infant from Indonesia. Kathy is held up in her wheelchair with safety belts. She cannot eat by mouth nor talk. She has very limited use of her arms and hands and cannot dress herself, let alone her dog. Here's the thing. Daisy never leaves the side of her wheelchair. She is her constant companion. Though the girl is unable to speak, Daisy seems to know exactly what she is saying and brings such happiness to Kathy. In addition to the girl's special needs that we just spoke of, Kathy also has uncontrolled seizures. Swear to God, true story, with no training whatsoever, Daisy became a seizure alert dog, warning the family just before Kathy would go into an epileptic episode. The irony is that Daisy also had epilepsy. Thankfully, Daisy's seizures were able to be well controlled with medication, but she was the ultimate friend. As I've said, I believe that dogs possess a sixth sense to understand us at a much deeper level, more than we even understand each other. And dogs understand us better than anyone else. My furry, slobbery animal patients understood my struggles in ways that even surprised me and ultimately helped me to heal. They have our backs. They are our best friends. And I would say that they are the best friend a girl could ever ask for. For those of you that are not familiar with the Disney movie Frozen, the main character, Elsa, is able to manipulate snow and ice to create a better, more magical world. How interesting that Daisy, often dressed like Elsa, was able to do the exact same thing for her family. In conclusion, I fully believe that dogs are placed in our lives at different times, fulfilling different needs just when we need them the most, sometimes not even realizing we need them. Different dogs, different lessons. And they all serve as wonderful examples on how to live life happier. It is always hard to lose a pet, and though we would love for our canines to have a longer natural lifespan, I am grateful to have experienced a few dogs in my lifetime. I have learned from them all, lessons I needed along the way. What I hope you take away from this talk and my book are the numerous life lessons from having a front row seat to the human-animal bond in its deepest form, and how treating yourself through a dog's eyes can be so beneficial. I have gotten to not sit in front of people, but to sit next to them, learning about their struggles, to see how those families relied on their dog to get what they needed, letting their dog be their guide. And for that, I am grateful. Squelching judginess, living in a pact, practicing mindfulness, the sanctity of self-care, celebrating our imperfections, and knowing what it takes to be a true friend. These are all things our dogs mirror for us. So Thank you all so very much for listening. I am grateful to you. I am in awe of your strength, determination, and love. Thank you again to Cancer Fighters, an incredible, dedicated organization, an incredible group of people. I will close with two epigraphs. The first is by M.K. Clinton, and that quote is, "The world would be a nicer place if everyone had the ability to love as unconditionally as a dog." And the last is by the beautiful Gilda Radner. "I think dogs are the most amazing creatures. They give us unconditional love. For me, they are the role model for being alive."